Let's do a podcast.
We've got the three of us. We're back. Hello. Welcome back to the MMA Split Pick Show. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Sylvester. How you doing?
We got him back for a pick show. The man has worked a daytime hour for once. The stars aligned. Everything is meant to be. And we've got a good little show ahead of us. We've got some good fights to pick. We've got a little bit of controversy and news on these fights that we're definitely going to discuss. And at some point, me and Josh have got a speed round through the Bellator that we didn't cover and a bit of news that we didn't cover last week because Zoom is not kind to Josh's phone battery. Josh, what percentage are we at the moment? Are we in safe ground?
Unfortunately, I can't check anything once I enter Zoom. But yeah, I was fully charged before this, so it should be fine.
We should be fine. And we have got UFC Vegas 41, Costa versus Vettori. Now, a lot of good fights on this card. We got to talk about this main event, though, because, there has been some, how do I put this? There's been some controversy. There's been some unprofessionalism. There's been some weight changes more than once. To walk our audience through, we haven't seen the weigh-ins yet, but the early warning sign was when Martin Vettori showed up for his media day. And he said that he's worried the fight's not going to happen because Costa has shown up heavy, super heavy. And I remember listening to this thinking, is this just Vettori being Vettori? Is he just sort of playing those games? Nope. Costa shows up, confirms. Like, he could not give any less of a shit. Just like, yeah, man, who cares? 195, 205. Who cares, man? I'm here to fight. If Vettori doesn't want to fight, he's a pussy, all this kind of stuff. And then eventually they agree on 195. They get both of them in a Zoom interview at the same time. And I've got to say, I kind of feel for Vettori here. He's just like, dude, you're being unprofessional. He's just like, no, you worry about you, man. You worry about you, man. It don't matter. It don't matter. He's just like, it does matter. I struggled and actually tried to do this. You showed up 26 pounds overweight and now can't make the weight. And you're acting like it doesn't matter. He's just like, my man, no difference, man. I don't care. Well, last night, it went from 195 to Costa refusing to make 195. It's now a 205 fight. Now, Costa told everybody what his weight was on Wednesday. So we know he weighs 211 pounds. I'm really sorry for a guy that literally cuts 40% of his body weight every other time he's fought in middleweight. What, he can't cut 16 pounds all of a sudden? He's just going to have an easy 6-pound drop? Josh, please give me your thoughts on this and then Sly.
I mean, I don't think this is the heaviest that Costa's turned up to fight week before making weight. But what we've seen of him since the Izzy fight is just the man in shambles. Mentally, he's a shell of himself. He is not ready to be professional. He's not ready to be a UFC caliber fighter right now. And I think, he did everything wrong, probably in training camp. Rocked up thinking, shit, I've done it before. And mentally just hit a wall before he even got started. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like pathetic or it's miserable because at this point, I just kind of like worry for the guy. I don't think getting into a cage with Martin Vettori is something you want to do if you're not like 100% there, if you're not 100% ready. And usually I'd say, if these two guys fight at light heavyweight, Paulo Costa's got the huge advantage here. But this time it just isn't the case. So, man, it is perturbing. It is weird. I'd be really, really fucking surprised if Costa comes out ready to fight tomorrow.
So wait, just to confirm, are they fighting at 205?
Yes, 205.
Yeah,
and Vettori was like, yeah, that's cool with me.
Vettori has had basically much of his UFC career has been defined with him not being able to fight the person that he was meant to fight that would have moved him up the ladder quicker. You think when he was meant to fight, oh God, who was it? Jack Hermanson. He ended up, when he was meant to fight Jacare Souza, he ended up having to fight Jack Hermanson. He was meant to fight Darren Till. That ended up becoming Kevin Holland. Yes, he did get the title shot, but you could tell in the press conference he did with Izzy before their second fight, when Izzy was teasing him about not beating a top 5 fighter, he was wound up about it because he wants to have these big fights. He wants to get these names on the record. And so I think for him, he wants to bounce back. It's interesting. You've got these two guys who have both had their last loss be to the champion. But the way that they've handled those losses is chalk and cheese. We haven't seen Costa in 13 months. He's pulled out of 2 fights, made 1,000,001 excuses for why he lost the Izzy fight. I mean, only in fighting, not even in sports or any other job, is a good excuse. It's not my fault. I was blackout drunk. Usually, what you do
Gascoigne
is
gets away with that.
Gascoigne's Gascoigne, mate. But in any other walk of life, if you have a bad day, you say, "Oh man, it just wasn't my night," as the excuse to cover up the fact that you were blackout drunk. Only Costa looks at that fight and goes, "Oh man, I had a bad night. What's going to get everyone to forgive me? I got pissed the night before." That's what they want to hear. That's going to fix it. He's had disputes, getting drunk on Twitter and talking shit to the UFC. Never a smart move. And now this crap. And then you look at Marvin Vettori. He lost, 3-4 months ago, something like that, in that ballpark region. And he's straight back in against a top guy, working hard, in the gym, motivated, desperate to try and put together enough wins to get another shot. And I just look at these two guys. I'm with you, Josh. Any other time this fight is at light heavyweight, you favor Costa. But mentally, Vittori's the guy that's ready. Costa's the guy that I don't even know what the hell's going on with Costa. I don't even know if he necessarily shows up. Like actually shows up. I think there's a possibility that he might weigh in, but he might just not show up on Saturday. That's in the cards now with this behavior.
Oh, for real. It's a legit concern. I also remember you remember Vittori when the fight with Roberson got cancelled and they tried to fight him in the hotel.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah. Vittori, he's not going to let a fight get away from him. And it's like we talked a little bit about earlier today, Matt. He needs a big statement win. If they're going to break their whole trilogy for the belt after you lose the first 2 rule, he needs a big statement win to get another shot at Izzy. This fight's not going to be enough. Maybe it's a little piece of the puzzle, though. Beat a guy like Costa, assuming Whitaker loses, beat a guy like Whitaker. Izzy might have to fight you at that point. You'd just be clean out of other people to fight.
Well,
still, sorry.
Just touch on one more thing with Costa. This isn't confirmed. I've only seen this on different people's channels on YouTube, but there are rumors going around that the UFC are officially banning Costa from ever fighting at middleweight again. This has gone down like a Led Zeppelin. No one is happy because this main event was meant to be the sort of the entry into the kind of kickoff set piece of the winter season in many ways, building up to UFC 269. Now, I know we've had cards for the last 2 weeks, but Josh, you and I have talked about the name value and some of the, rankings and qualities of, experienced fighters on those cards. It was from this card onwards, 267, 268, the Yair Rodriguez, Max Holloway card. This was their big, opener for the season, basically. And this isn't what they wanted, man. They put a lot. I was seeing adverts nonstop for this, watching the NFL coverage last weekend. This isn't the media that they want. In terms of the fight itself, and then I'll pass it over to you to give the more technical sides. Even with all of this shit going on, my thought process on this was, is Costa really going to stop him taking him down?
No, definitely not. I mean, even just Costa's got quite a flat-footed, heavy style. He's exactly the guy Chael Sonnen would love to go up against, sort of idiot that's going to be there for that double leg of doom. And, well, frankly, Marvin Vettori does it really fucking good. The other thing is Costa, does train a lot of jiu-jitsu. I'm sure he, as with all things in his life, very egocentric. I'm sure he assumes he's very good. I haven't seen it. Marvin Vettori has a good, suffocating, smart style on top. He doesn't really let you get anything cheap off of him. So I can see him even like pulling guards or almost inviting the takedowns, assuming that he's going to have a less exhausting time of it, submitting him from the bottom. But fuck, man. Even Paulo Costa on a good day, when I actually think he's switched on, even on a good day, I don't think a guy like Vettori is the right kind of guy for him. You'd think that someone that's going to keep coming forward would kind of suit Costa's kind of like, power heavy striking, lack of technical ability, all explosion. you know, kind of like a mini Ngannou in a lot of ways. But Vettori's just smart. Rafael Cordero trains smart fucking fighters. Those guys, even when they have basic game plans, they implement them very well. It covers a very rangy strategy. You think about the way guys like Jocelyn fight. Beneil Dariush is kind of an exception because actually I think he's very high level in his game. No doubt Cordero works perfectly with the high level guys too. Vettori's fucking the epitome of it. Even Verdum manages to mix in his striking very well with you know, a grapple heavy offense, and I just think he's at the right camp for a guy of his insane attitude and ability. And Paulo Costa, I don't even really know how I'd feel about him fighting a Pete Costa, because this guy has just melted over the last 13 months or so. He's
I love all this shitting on Costa, man. This is beautiful.
How do you not? How do you not right now, though? Do you know what I mean?
No, I know. I think it's completely
Fuck this
deserved.
guy.
It's completely deserved, the guys. I mean, Vettori Costa is such, like, you know, when I was doing the picks, I had to choose the picks. How the fuck do you choose? Like, okay, this was like 2 or 3 days ago, and Matt asked me to do the picks. I didn't know, like, that Costa was in so much, let's say, of a bad shape. You know, I haven't been following his training camp, but I was just, okay, we got a pick between Vettori and Costa. I'm looking at the stats, and I'm like, fuck. I hate both guys. Like, I really like, I despise both. Like, I would never have either of them anywhere near a conversation with me. Or I don't know. I'd probably rather go to church than go to drink, like, for a drink with one of them. So, yeah, I really don't like them. I don't know how you pick one of them. Obviously, now Costa's proving to be, like, the heavier dickhead. But, it's rubbish.
Listen, Marvin Vettori is an angry man.
Oh.
The man runs red. I mean, that is his base emotion, and everything else is just a sort of upwards or downwards trajectory from that. Costa's a big fucking guy, but my biggest criticism of Costa, and I had a big worry about his fight against Adesanya, but part of that came from the unknown. Take out the Romero fight. It's a win over Uriah Hall, which, you know, listen, Uriah Hall's a technically good fighter, but that smothering pressure style is exactly the kind of thing that he struggles with. And he kind of mentally broke in that fight more than anything else. Aside from that, there's not a lot of quality wins with Costa. And although he hits hard, he's not one of these guys where it's like you catch you once and you're in trouble. It's the accumulation of pressure and power. But for a high level guy, that also means that even if you get caught, you make some mistakes. It's not like the fight's over and I'm in trouble. You can survive that and you can kind of roll with that. And we haven't seen him fight those people. Now, Vettori was meant to fight slightly higher ranked fighters than he ended up fighting to get to the title shot. No fault of his own. But the Jack Hermanson win is legit. Real legit. Like, whatever you say about Kevin Holland, I still think he's a really talented striker. He still had to beat the guy. Carl Robeson's no joke. You see some of the guys he beat earlier on in his UFC career that are starting to make runs now. Those wins age really well. So, compare that to Costa. I mean, out of the 5 or 6 wins he has in the UFC, 3 of the guys aren't even in the UFC anymore. So it's not the same level. And like,
no, did we say Johnny Hendricks as well?
Well, Johnny Hendricks, yeah, who was in the wrong weight class. It was like he was at the end of his career. He was past it. Who was the other guy? I mean, the first 2 people he fought, I can't even remember. But I think only one of them still in the UFC.
Oh yeah, Gareth McClellan.
That's
Big
the one.
beady Safa. Oh, and Oluwale Bamboze, who wasn't that bad, but like just lost a bunch of fights in the UFC. Has he? I'm assuming he's been cut. His last fight was 2017.
Yeah.
He hasn't taken a fight outside the organization, but.
So I think the only guy that he's fought that he's won against in the UFC that's still there is Uriah Hall. There's more ways for Vettori to win this fight. He can wrestle. He can box on the outside. He's got decent head movement. He's a southpaw, which is going to make it awkward for Costa to do what he wants to do. And he throws way more of his strikes straight. Costa's a looping punch kind of guy. Yeah. Vettori throws that left straight down the pipe every single time. straight shots, speed looping punches. He's got every mental advantage. The only disadvantage he's going to have is weight, and it's a 5-round fight.
What's the wait? So once Costa is Costa even getting paid for this if he turns up?
I think he's getting a 40% purse cut.
And
yeah,
what happens if Costa wins?
He doesn't get any win bonuses. No, he gets the win bonus, but he doesn't get any performance awards.
Okay. If he wins, does he get to get the bigger fight? Does that mean that Vettori will lose status?
I think the UFC will look at him and go, the only reason that you are not in severer shit than you're in right now is because you won the fight. That's good.
Yeah, but I mean, from Vettori's point of view, if
they'll tap him on the shoulder and say, it's hard luck, mate. We really appreciate that you were such a gent and just got on with it. You were hard done by here. You're going to have a big fight in your next week.
Is he though? Because that's what you think. That's what would make sense.
Yeah,
he gets
this
beaten.
isn't like Aspen Ladd last weekend, kind of moving up to save a card. This is a guy that theoretically should be in your weight class, and it's fucking tragic. But yeah, you know, whoever wins, for the most part, people will just remember that they won.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like as a fan, let's say like for some reason someone gets injured, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, Vettori, and in this hypothesis, he's just lost to Paulo Costa. Vettori to fight Adesanya again. Everyone's going to look at it and go, what?
It won't be his next fight.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, so it's everyone that's watching the UFC, the people that the UFC has to promote to, the casual fans, are just going to see this guy lost. Why is he getting another fight? Even Adesanya is going to be like, I'm not fighting this angry Italian.
They're not going to give Vettori a title shot if he wins or loses or wins this fight. But if there's one thing Dana White absolutely fucking loves more than anything else, it's the guys that have a few setbacks, things that come up that aren't their fault, and still get on and do with it, get on with the show and make it happen. And he remembers those people. There's a reason why Sam Alvey has lost like 7 of his last 8 fights, with the other one being a draw, and isn't being cut. And it's because he just gets on with it. He shows up, he does his job, he fights whoever they tell them to, and he never complains. Whether or not you should say that guys shouldn't be able, you know, there's a whole conversation we can have about what's right, what's wrong in terms of should you hold out, should you have the right to refuse fights, all this kind of stuff. But none of this changes the fact that Dana White really does remember those people, and they get treated better and differently. And when you do a favor for the UFC like this, they remember it, and they know if you've been hard done by. And my theory is this, and then we'll get on to the rest of the card and do the picks. I think Costa has made a calculated decision of, I cannot lose this fight. I am willing to completely humiliate and shame myself in order to give myself every actual advantage to win, because that win is still going to edge me a little bit ahead of all the shit that I've caused. I think that's going to be his logic. But if reports are true and he's banned and he's got to move up to 205, let me tell you something, Costa. What you like to do, the way that you fight, it is not built for people that weigh the same or more than you. 205 is never going to be your friend. Not in a million fucking years. You will get eaten alive. You might beat some people because it's not the deepest division, but all the big fish at the top are going to be looking at you going, come here, Bonaccini. Come on.
Well, he's got no plans of staying at 205. I mean, if this had stayed at 185 and he'd cut the weight and he had won, he could questionably be, you know, one fight away from the title shot, or even just, you know, sitting out for a little bit and getting that rematch with Izzy. Whereas Vettori was always going to be at least a couple more fights and having other fights go favorably for himself. So, and I think it's sick. But if he wins this fight at 205 and he's able to convince Dana that he's going to do his next fight at 185, he probably is just one win away from getting that rematch. It shouldn't be that way. What a prick.
Let's do the picks, guys. I'm going Vettori. I'm going sub.
I'm going decision. I just think that maybe, you know, Costa can grapple enough to not get caught in something, but I might be giving him too much there.
Let me double check what I had gone for. I might change my pick. I think no, I'm going to stay with it. MMA split. You see, I went for decision, Vettori decision. So does that make us? Is that 3 different picks on that one or not?
Nah,
2 same decisions, and I'm different on the sub. But they're all good picks, and they're all for Vettori. Sorry, Costa, you have lost our respect.
No, what you respected them before? That's
Mate,
crazy.
Not
respect
for a
anybody
while.
that's maybe not in the last 13 months, but I had a very fit, I had a healthy respect of what he might be able to do in the title fight until Izzy defeated him without getting hit in the face once, which is pretty impressive for a fight that lasted 8 minutes. They're not the only people fighting on this card. This was an interesting card already, and we got to talk about Grant Dawson, fan favorite here on the show. Guy's doing exciting stuff. He's taking on Rick Glenn, and it's happening at lightweight. So his last fight at lightweight worked out well for him.
Yep.
So, you know, that was one of the most entertaining things I'd seen in the last year in terms of great cornering, telling the guy 2 rounds down, you've got to push the pace, you don't know what the score can be. I don't know a lot about Rick Glenn. Talk to me about Rick Glenn.
Man, Rick Glenn, the Spartan. The Gladiator, sorry. This guy is fucking fun. You know, he's not young, but he's got some good fights out there. Got a decision win over Bermudez back in 2018. He's fought Miles Jury, Evan Dunham. You know, he's had some good fights. He's a tough guy. I kind of think of him kind of like a poor man's Darren Elkins.
Okay.
I think that's a compliment still. Certainly not. I'd be interested to see actually what the height and reach comparison is, because he's not small. He's like 6 foot.
I can give you that.
What's KGD? Like 5'10", 5'11"?
So let me have a look. KGD is 5'10". He's got a 72-inch reach, whereas Ricky Glenn is 6 foot and he's got a 70.5-inch reach. So long arms, long arms and short body for KGD, and the opposite for Ricky Glenn.
Yeah, look, the Gladiator's got quite like a wiry, kind of solid kind of frame. You know, he's a big 55er at 6 foot, but
yeah, a bit of a
I
tight.
feel like KGD is just a bit filled out. You know, this is definitely his new home at 155. You know, he didn't leave 45. You know, 45 said you can't come back. Sorry, Grant. It's just one of those physical things as you get older. And I think he's just going to move straight into being quite a big lightweight as well. I think he's going to be able to bully Rick around a little bit. I think he's more powerful, technically probably more or less on par grappling wise, but certainly the overall MMA game is a lot more polished. Grant's got nice striking too. I don't know. I don't want to say Rick's like a journeyman fighter because he's been in the UFC for a long time. But yeah, he's being put on this card so that KGD can take another important step up. Leonardo Santos is a fucking lethal fighter. And although it did feel like a big comeback win, the truth is the judges had KGD up on that one. Yeah. But the thing is, you know, Leonardo is really, really old. I think Rick Glenn might be 10 years younger than Leonardo. So when I say step up, name-wise, step down. But in where they're actually at right now today, this is another step up. I think it's going to be a good fucking fight.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Rick Glenn, obviously, as I had to ask, but big Grant Dawson fan. I was always going to pick Grant Dawson in this. I will say TKO.
Oh, yeah? Interesting. What did you go for, Josh?
I'm going decision, but I did not feel good about how I was going to pick this one for KGD, because I could see it being a sub, a knockout, or a decision. Not coming easily, though. You know, like I say, he's like a poor man's Darren Elkins. He's not easy to put away.
Well, I've gone for sub. I think
nice. Now we got the whole range.
Yeah, I like the whole range.
The Trinity. It's going to be a good co-main event. Moving down the card, nice little fun fight. This Jessica Rose Clarke is taking on Jocelyn Edwards. Is this it? Flyweight? Or are they going bantamweight?
No, bantamweight. I don't think Edwards could make flyweight. She's a decent bantamweight. She's pretty tall, pretty big.
Oh, it was a bantamweight. I thought a lot of fights were at flyweight for some reason. Yeah, I was going to say Jocelyn Edwards, big, powerful girl. She's had a couple of stumbles, but she's also looked really impressive in the UFC. Her 2 wins in the UFC are dominant. I mean, just really using her power, her range. I don't think this fight's going to be different. I think Jocelyn Edwards gets it. Jessica Rose Clarke is good, but I don't think she's nearly as athletic as what Jocelyn Edwards is going to bring.
But she does have a massive reach advantage on Rose. Yeah, she's got 5.5 inches reach.
Yeah, she's huge.
Yeah, this is a flyweight
really
against
long and
bantamweight.
lanky.
Yeah, really long and lanky. But completely, let's say maybe not so much fight related. I was just checking them out now. Just zooming
Checking
in.
them that way.
Yeah, well, no. Sorry, I thought I'd just let you know what I'm checking out. Is Rose's tattoo. She's got a few really good tattoos. If you have a look, and we'll be able
I
to
love
see
how
them
he
on the
says,
fly.
like, I'm checking her out now. I make a joke. And then he's like, no, it's not like that. She's got these tattoos on her arm, which means that I wasn't checking out her stats.
The ones on the legs as well, really good, man. But look, check them out, man. They're really good, man. And we'll get to see them in 4K on the event. But look, we've got one there that's pretty good. That is a really good, like, Statue of Liberty kind
Strong
of
tag game.
So, but yeah, the
Strong
tag game
tag
is
game.
strong. So, just based on that, Rose has got my decision to win. So Rose will win by decision.
Do you think you should send her an Instagram message that says, show us your tats?
Oh, I don't know, because I've got spell check and that could go really wrong.
Go off your private Instagram, not the podcast Instagram. Man, it's crazy. I swear when I looked earlier in the week, Clarke was quite a big favorite on this one. I'm pretty sure she's still favorite, but the betting odds have kind of closed a little closer to the middle. I think it's insane that Edwards isn't a big favorite for this one. I agree with you, Matt. I think she's very dynamic. Yeah, but it was against Carol Hoser.
But that's my point is that quite often, if this happens a lot with lesser known fighters, with the odds makers, where a lot of it is based on who won the last fight and who lost the last fight, and then what Vegas is doing, much rather than sort of like an intimate knowledge of what happened in those victories. So I feel this one is like majorly off on this because, one, I think Jocelyn Edwards, she's young, so she's improving very quickly. The loss that she had was very much a burnout issue. She just kind of expended way too much energy in the first kind of round and a bit, and then just kind of sort of got outworked in the second half of the fight. That's the kind of stuff you learn from. Like, she's been away for a few months. She's clearly been working on things. I think she puts on a real performance here and starts making a name for herself as a kind of new face in the bantamweight division. I think she gets I'll say decision, actually. I've got a couple of finishes. I'll say decision.
I will actually send her a message. I just did just now.
Nice.
I said, I love your tats. I hope you have a great fight tomorrow. Good luck.
Does that mean you're picking her to win?
Yeah, by decision.
So he's going Rose Clarke. I'm going Edwards by decision. Josh?
I'm also going Edwards by decision.
You guys know nothing about
It's
that.
sensible money.
No, man, I have one tattoo on my body and it's shit. That is correct. I know nothing about tattoos.
What's Clarke like 3-2 in the UFC?
Something like that.
1 and 2 at bantamweight. I just know. I don't understand where all the confidence behind Clarke's coming from. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, she's lost to better known people.
Who did she lose to?
Who did she lose to?
Carol Hoser. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at Edwards's record. Jessica I and Pani Kianzad. I don't think Jessica I is that impressive, and it's at flyweight.
She's still somebody that had a
Kianzad
title shot, man. And Pani Kianzad is still a top 15 ranked fighter. So yeah, I think she's more seasoned in the UFC, and she's at least tasted what a ranked and experienced fighter is to deal with. Whereas Jocelyn Edwards has got what she's fought, Yanan
Wu, Carol Hoser,
and who was the other guy she got?
This is her third UFC fight.
Oh, I thought she'd had three already. Well, put it this way: if you're putting money on, I think Jocelyn Edwards is a good potential moneymaker underdog win for you. Alex Caceres, man with an absolutely terrible cage name, as we've discussed many times.
What's his cage name again?
Bruce Leroy.
Oh my god, it's brilliant. I love it.
Taking on Song Woo Choi, who is a beast. I mean, the guy hits hard. The guy hits really hard. He beat Julian Erosa looked very impressive doing it. Alex Caceres is on a little bit of a resurgence, though. For a while, he was a journeyman, almost a little bit of a joke in the UFC. And then he just started turning it around. It's like he learned how to grapple. He learned how to defend submissions all of a sudden. And on the feet, he is a tricky, complex fighter who moves well on the outside. He's got 1,000,001 different kicks that he can throw, creative setups with the hands. And Choi swings for the fences a little bit. Like if he lands, it's not good, but he's not necessarily working with the jab. It's a lot of hooks.
But they both, talking about strikes, they both have a positive ratio between strikes landed against strikes conceded. Although obviously Caceres has got a lot better striking. Completely non-related to fight stats. Don't you think they both kind of look like Tekken characters?
Yeah.
Like it's a very like Tekken character fight. You got the Asian with the blonde hair, and you got the mixed race, let's say African white, kind of Hispanic with the afro. I think it's.
Well, he's got the hair like the capoeira dude.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It looks kind of funny.
The same kind of like elaborate kicking game.
You know what? Though, having watched Alice in Borderlands now, and giving no spoilers away to you gents that may not have watched it yet, a lot of Japanese characters kind of end up looking sort of like Tekken characters and stuff like that. I know he's not Japanese, but
I was going to say no. The South Koreans do a lot more. The reason for this, if you want to know, actually, is because in Korea the #1 sport is actually esports. Esports is much bigger than any other sports that you can imagine. So there's a lot of cosplay. There's a lot. It's part of the culture. Whereas guys here, you see a lot of people go wear, let's say, football shirts in the streets and stuff, and that's part of like, let's say, the style. In Korea, people dress up to go to work. Like they'll put like wigs and hang out like this, and it's actually quite normal, especially in Seoul and a few big cities in South Korea. So there you go. Watched a documentary about it. That's why last week.
Against my better judgment, I'm trusting Caceres on this one by decision. I think he's on a roll. I think he's found himself. I think he's putting it together. And I think he's got the trickery. I think he's got the movement to clinch a win on this one. I'm not confident on the pick. I've changed my mind on this a couple of times, but
I don't know, man. I kind of looked through that win streak, and it's got Steven Peterson and Chase Hooper are kind of like the impressive names on there. I'm like, that's not the strongest of streaks. Sungwoo Choi came in as like a power hitter. I think he lost his first 2 UFC fights. Yeah, Mosvar Evliev. All right, fair enough. The guy can grapple. Kid's got some wrestling chops. And Gavin Tucker, fair play. You get subbed out there. But he's kind of got his feet under the table now. Finished his last fight, Julian Erosa. That's an impressive win. Man, I'm going Choi by knockout.
I'm going Choi by KO. I think he's gonna swing and connect, and I don't think Caceres' chin is that strong. I remember Caceres going down a few times from something that didn't look that strong and being wobbled. So yeah, I'm gonna go for Choi by KO.
I'm gonna be honest, boys. Sometimes you take a punt. I'm taking a punt.
Yeah, taking a punt.
This is gonna be fun. The ageless Francisco Trinaldo taking on Dwight Grant. This is what's the age difference on this one? Not that much. Dwight Grant is 37.
Yeah, okay, that
oh mate, this is like just the opposite body type. Just the complete opposite body type. You could not get more different unless you had like, I suppose DC versus John Jones was one example, but DC never really should have been a heavyweight.
Jesus Christ. Which is surprising to learn that last time I checked, the odds Trinaldo was a pretty heavy favourite on this.
I'm thinking Trinaldo.
He's a replacement for Gabe Green. Stepping up to welterweight, 43 years young. Shit, man. I don't know if this is his fight. I don't know if he's really going to be able to get off his game plan, which is to not get knocked out, not get submitted, be aggressive, and just fucking make something happen. I just don't think it's going to work against the guy this big.
he's got to get past some telephone poles for arms. I'm not going to lie to you there. There's a spider's web of pain in between landing stuff. But Trinaldo is just one of those guys, man. Like, he doesn't go away. He's like a Hector Lombard. It's like a Romero. The age is meaningless. He's 10 years older than it says he is. I mean, look at that. Is not the face of a 42-year-old man. That man is already in his 50s.
He looks like he's been to wars.
He has been to wars.
It's going to be, I think this is going to be quite a good fight, or it could be like awful. The fact that they both are actually favourite on the UFC website is quite intriguing.
They've given it slight edge.
But like the slightest edge to Trinaldo. Yeah, I can't see Grant not winning this. And if he does, it's going to be by KO. But that's the way I look at it. Did you guys go for Trinaldo or Grant?
We're going Trinaldo by knockout, mate.
Oh yeah?
I'm going Grant by decision.
You don't want to go Grant by sub?
You're going a lot of decisions, Josh.
I am. I think there will be a lot of decisions on this card. In fact, I'm only picking 4 KOs and 0 subs.
Dang.
Everything's pretty much a decision. Look, Trinaldo is smart. He can be very crafty. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, outside of just being kind of slow. I think Grant's going to win by decision just because Trinaldo is going to be hard to put away. And he is too much of a risk for Grant to just be charging in. So, yeah, I think Grant does the right thing, the sensible thing. Snipes him from the outside and just takes a comfortable decision.
Nice.
We shall see. Then we get to the card kicker offer for the main card. No, Ike Villanueva taking on Nikolai Negumerino.
I think that's pretty good, Matt. I think he did pretty well.
I'm going to roll with that, and he's Nikolai for the rest of the show.
What weight is this? Is this heavyweight?
This is light heavyweight.
No, 205.
Ike Villanueva he's got one way to win, and that's land a big overhand right. He got into the UFC during the COVID period where they needed guys that could fight. They were having a lot of fights drop out at a much higher rate than what we're seeing at the moment. And yeah, he got into the UFC and he knocked out, who is it that he knocked out? Is it
Vinicius Maheda.
That's the one. And since then, he's looked, once he's fought anybody of a slightly higher striking level, the holes and the deficiencies have come through. He's now up against a much younger and much fresher, much better fighter. And I think Nikolai's got this. I think he wins by a TKO or a knockout.
Yeah. I mean, Ike Villanueva came in to fight Chase Sherman at heavyweight. I don't think the guy really should be fighting at 205. But drop it down to 185 might be a big way to go for an old dog. Jesus, there's no way Niku loses this. I just don't see it happening. I do think, yet again, he's going up against a guy that is pretty fucking tough. And I think Niku is probably going to coast to a decision.
Do you know that, I don't know if this is just UFC stat or not, but he's absorbed almost 9 strikes per minute. This is Villanova.
Yeah, sounds
and
about
only
right.
given 2, almost, let's say 3. Let's say he's absorbed almost 9 strikes per minute and only given 3 per minute.
He's got a -6 strike differential.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for...
Wait, per minute? So like minus 30 per round?
It's a lot of, yeah. So yeah, Negumerino, Nikolai, by KO for me for sure.
Well,
sure.
That's why the guy doesn't go to the judges.
Yeah. We've got 9 prelim fights at the moment. I do not know that we're recording this on Friday. The weigh-ins are happening right now. I cannot imagine that many of these fights not dropping off if they're all going to. There's a lot of fights on this card. Let's go through this quickly. So we've got Park Jun-young against Gregory Rodriguez.
Oh, this was my favorite pick that Sly made, Robocop.
You went Robocop.
Yeah, man, Robocop by KO for sure. For sure, man. This guy, I don't remember ever seeing him fight, but he looks like a really, really much more like Tibetan version of Jose Aldo. He's like, wow, man. He looks so like wise, man.
It's his.
Look at him.
No,
Jose
but
Aldo.
you know who's fighting?
Tibet.
No, hang on a sec. He's not called. Oh, that guy's called Robocop.
No. It's obviously
I got it wrong again.
Slice Fine doing autocorrect.
Sorry, man. I got it wrong. Fuck.
That's why I was getting so confused.
Fuck, I got it wrong.
You posted your pics earlier today. It just says Robocop, and I was like, I wonder if I'm going to be able to figure out which one that one is. But you remember?
Sorry, I take that back. So what I meant is, no, Robocop is going to smash the monk. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. This guy's like
Wait a minute, you just spent 2 minutes just like literally eye-fucking this monk. Just like, look at this perfect form of humanity. Oh, wait,
I don't remember his last fight, do you?
I don't.
It's that fun and Chukwi fight. The dude comes out, beaming ear to ear, walking out to the Rocky theme, the Iron Turtle, fucks the man up. How do you not love John Young Park? I'm picking Park all day.
Guys, remember that Gregory Rodriguez is the guy that literally raped Dusko Todorovic. I mean, raped him hard.
I'm going to stay on Robocop just because I don't know when I did those picks, but something made me pick Robocop. I think it might have just been the name. I think I like the other guy's face, but I like the other guy's name, and I got them confused.
See, Gregory Rodriguez, I'd never seen him fight until he fought Dusko Todorovic, and that was literally a fight that they booked to be a bounce-back fight for Dusko. That was meant to be this young guy, let's give him a fight to get his name back up. He took the fight on short notice, and he creamed him. I mean, absolutely just creamed him. I'm going Robocop, man, and listen, the Iron Turtle and the Rocky Walkout is fucking brilliant. I love that. And in other fights, I'm going to root on for Park Chun-young. But Robocop is a fucking great cage name. As long as he's just completely like, I want no personality whatsoever. He's got to be like a Fedor with that name. Just walks in, just completely fucking there. And if he can, as he's getting a takedown, say to the guy, dead or alive, you're coming with me, and then pull him to the ground. Yeah, he's coming on the show because that would just be way too fucking cool. I think Robocop by knockout.
I'll go Iron Turtle by decision.
Robocop, you're staying with?
Yeah.
Mason Jones is taking on David Onama. David Onama is undefeated. Mason Jones has had 2 fights in the UFC. He lost an absolute fucking war in his debut that could have gone either way and just edged out on, I can't remember who it was who fought in his first one. More experienced guy.
Hey, one sec.
Mike Davis. Mike Davis came alive in that fight. And then the second fight, he was dominating until he either poked the guy in the eye, I think, and he genuinely...
His hand slipped off his shoulder. He was kind of posting off his shoulder, and his hand just slipped, and I think it was his thumb went straight in his eye.
That's right. And really unfortunate. It becomes a no contest. Devastating, and he handled the whole situation like an absolute professional. He's taken on a dangerous, undefeated guy, but I've got this is national pride kind of kicking in here, even though, you know, he's flying the Welsh flag. I've got my Welsh heritage, and he's part of the British Isles. He did brilliantly in Cage Warriors, and I think sometimes you stumble a little bit at the beginning. It's hard to be in the UFC, but I think the quality's there. I think he wins this by decision.
See, again, now I'm just going to...
you go and tap game?
Well, I like his tats again because it looks like he's got like a little disease that started on the extremity of both hands and one of his foot, and it's kind of growing into his body, slowly taking over his whole body from each end. So you kind of want him to win because that means he'll have more money to invest in this disease and see if it's eventually just going to like take over his body a bit quicker, because obviously you have more money to pay for his tats. But I mean, statistically, he doesn't really...
Black guy's got tats too.
Whoa. All right. He's not black. He's from Uganda. Doesn't mean, you don't have to be so outrageous. But he's got no tats.
Oh, sorry, that was a bit racist.
Oh, maybe that is a tat.
I saw that tat, and I thought there's a chest tat as well if you go up.
No, that's just a nipple.
Oh, no, he's just got a scar underneath him.
Right, so
What's
anyway...
happening here? What is happening here? What the fuck is happening here?
Anyway, I'm going to pick David...
He finds a way.
I'm going to pick David Onama not related tattoo, just because he's from Uganda, and all I know is that when the UFC gets fighters from like Africa, usually they're pretty solid. And for someone from Uganda to be in the UFC, this guy's got to be really, really solid. So yeah, I'm gonna pick David Onama by. I think I went for KO on this. Yeah, Onama by KO.
Are you saying that the UFC is so racist that the Africans have to be
No,
amazing
no.
to be able to get
I'm just saying,
entry?
like, the UFC is an American sport. Okay, so you have a lot of fighters from America, which makes sense. So whenever there's a fight from America, just another fighter in the UFC. When you get them from Europe, it's still kind of like, okay, they're from Europe. It's still a close link. When you start getting them from Asia, there's a reason why they're not fighting in the Asian leagues. They're actually fighting UFC, which means that, okay, you've already found some pretty rare ones. And I think as soon as you start going to like smaller countries or things that are a lot further away, you start getting fighters that, have come from some kind of crazy background or something, like, like the ones you get from Africa, which come from like African sports, which are usually a bit different than the Europeans or whatever you get. So interesting.
Yeah, they got more kinds of wrestling as well.
Yeah.
Say like maybe like 10 years
I
ago,
love all
that
of
was very
that.
accurate.
He does live in Missouri now.
Of course he lives in Missouri. He needs to like be part of the UFC, but where was he born?
He was born in Uganda.
Well, that's just good. That's
He
good
lives
enough.
in
That's good
Missouri.
enough, man.
Oh,
That's good
I'll
enough.
say, so he trains at Glory MMA.
Yes.
Okay. Well, look, 10 years ago, what you said, Sly, might have been kind of accurate. Well, he did leave off if they got any European fighters, they knew they probably couldn't wrestle. These days, they've got a PI in China. I think they're building a PI in Africa as well. And if they're going to do anything like what they've been doing in China, it's going to see a huge influx of different kinds of African like fighters coming in. But man, this guy finishes fights. He finishes them, by knockout, finishes by sub. Still, he's a debutant. I think, Mason Jones, rightly so, is a heavy favorite on this one. I don't know how good this guy is. FAC is a fight organization I'm not even really familiar with. So, I got to stick with the non-commodity here. I'm going Mason Jones by KO.
Sweet. I love winning the pig shows because of your guys' weird patriotism. It's always nice.
Yeah, I'm going Jones. Do I say TKO?
Well, KO, TKO, we can is the same.
Let's breeze through these next few. Tabitha Ricci taking on Maria Oliveira. I'm going to go Ricci by decision.
Yeah, I'm going Ricci by decision as well. Ricci?
I'm going Oliveira by decision.
Jamie Pickett against Lauriano Starapoli. We were actually meant to have this fight a couple of weeks ago, and we did our picks for it, and I'm not changing mine. Pickett by knockout.
Same again, surprised to see Starapoli as a favorite on the betting line. I just don't understand where they got that number from. Pickett KO, by the way.
Yeah, Pickett by KO as well.
Karma Worthy versus Joy Herbert. Karma Worthy, the man who has no chin, but has power in his hands.
Just always picks him.
And the occasional submission. Against Joy Herbert, who has lost his last two fights, but is a young up-and-comer.
Yeah. And we're fucking patriotic, so obviously I'm picking Herbert. And I'm picking him by KO. Someone's going to sleep in this fight. I'm not 100% sure who's winning, but it's definitely going to be by knockout.
Do you know what this fight is? And every Karma-worthy fight I've realized is this.
Yeah.
It's who lands first. It's who lands first. He can knock a guy out. He might have a guillotine, but if he gets punched hard once, it's fucking done. Joy Herbert had a similar experience, but like Trinaldo hits like a beast, man. I mean, he can knock anybody out. So I think Herbert, I'm going to say knockout.
Yeah, I've got Herbert by KO.
Jeff?
We might as well carpool, boys, because we're all going the same direction. Yeah, got it in there. Shameless.
Did you have to pause yourself to remember the exact wording of it?
I think he's been
Pause
practicing.
myself. When did I pause? That was smooth. That rolled off the tongue.
It sounds like
Maybe it was just me. I wanted to try and see if I could time and say it with you, but then I couldn't remember it properly.
Oh, it's hard because we got the lag as well. So if you did it perfectly with me, I would just think that I was like weirdly ahead.
It's a weird game that we have to play on Zoom. Jeff Molina taking on Daniel Lacerda. don't know much about Daniel Ikeda, but Jeff Molina was awesome in his last fight. Really brought the heat. I'm going Molina by decision.
By the way, I've got it as Daniel De Silva here. We haven't had a short night's replacement or anything.
Yeah, I've got Daniel De Silva as well. Sorry, I'm a bit confused.
Don't ask me, ask Google.
Multiple surnames. Do you know what I mean? Depends how they want to put them down. Anyway, I'm going Molina by decision as well. Keep it easy.
I love how Sly's looking through, even though he did his picks previously.
No, because they changed. It was supposed to be the Souza.
Ah, right.
Yeah, that's fine. Who? Fuck it. Yeah, Lacerda by sub.
Bold. Olivia Renata Souza taking on Randa Marcos. Jesus Christ, if a woman has ever needed a win in the UFC, it's Randa. She has a losing record at the moment. She's under 500. And I think she's not had a win in 2 years, 3 years, something like that. It's not been pretty.
Yeah, including a DQ for an illegal up kick.
Yeah.
That was a good moment.
Who did you pick, Matt?
I mean, no one's picking Marcos, right?
I feel a bit sorry for Marcos.
Pick her then.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel that sorry, though.
I like Marcos, but I can't pick her at this point.
Yeah, I'm picking Souza. And Marcos is getting cut, and it's going to be a decision.
Decision? What do you go for? Obviously, we'll go Souza. I've gone Souza by sub.
Souza by decision.
All right, Souza by sub.
Jonathan Martinez taking on Zvaid Lazishvili, who is undefeated. Fuck, I think this might be a tough fight for Jonathan Martinez. I really like the guy. He's had some good performances. He's looked excellent at times in the UFC. But that 13-0, that name, there's no picture. Can I see a picture of the guy?
There's no picture.
There's no picture.
Yeah, he's, they got a picture of him on Tapology. Just looks like your standard angry Georgian.
Those angry Georgians are on the rise at the moment.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they do pretty fucking good.
I'm going angry Georgian.
Angry KO?
Angry KO.
Man, again, you know, the batting line guys against the UFC vet. I'm
stepping in on 3 days' notice, but I mean, just so Jerry Maguire, you had me at Georgia.
Like a joke. Yeah, for sure. I'm going Martinez by decision.
I'm going for Georgian by sub.
Bold.
Bold. He's Georgian. They love subbing people.
No, fortune favours the bold.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. I think that all of these fights might actually happen at the moment. Like, without the weigh-ins, they would have taken these fights off if anything had really fucked up. I don't know if anyone's got access to, Josh, if you can see if the results are out yet for the weigh-ins.
Yeah, it's looking up.
We'll touch on the news very quickly because we didn't. Very touching on Bellator. That happened last week. Josh's phone died before we talked about it, but we've got Corey Anderson versus Nemkov in the final of the light heavyweight Grand Prix for the belt. Corey Anderson dominated Ryan Bader. Nemkov had to go through some adversity. That was a closer fight than I think people thought it was with the replacement for Johnson.
Yeah, you think with Rumble out, he wasn't expecting to get dropped in this fight, but you know,
a fucking hell of an uppercut as well.
Yeah, had a little scare. You know, still looked fucking dominant afterwards. I think Nemkov Anderson's going to be a fun fight. And I really enjoyed all the shit talking between Bader and Anderson as well.
Yeah, that was good.
They do not like each other.
No. But what can you say? Anderson won the fight pretty easily. I think Bader's just a bit over the hill. He's had his moment. He got to be the double champ. I don't think the chin's there anymore.
No, you guys are still going to book some good fights in Bellator. He's still going to get paid. Talking about people getting paid in Bellator, man.
Bellator.
It's the retirement fight tomorrow, and it's on an earlier time, so we can watch it before the prelims.
This card's on at an earlier time. This kicks off. Main card kicks off at 10, I think.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure it's like a midday card for the US. Shit, maybe it does overlap a fair bit then. Shit, I was hoping I was going to be able to watch the Fedor fight. I'll have to kind of flip between the two now. No, I'm just gonna watch the Fedor fight, and then I'll rewatch the prelims. Fuck it. Yeah, Jesus Christ. So we got that tomorrow night against Tim Johnson. I don't know if we ever actually talked about it, but Patricio vacated at 55. So his brother Patricky is going to fight Peter Keeley for the 55 belt.
Nice.
So I guess AJ is going to defend the belt against Patricio. I don't know. I hope. But yeah, lots of weird stuff happening in Bellator. Always fun. I feel like there's some really big stuff in the news. Oh, another Bellator one. Horiguchi's coming back to fight Sergio Pettis.
Oh,
The
nice.
35 crown. So yeah, that's
Bellator's
happening in
booming.
December.
Bellator's got a good season coming up. Let's touch on some UFC news that we didn't get to in the week. Conor McGregor's punching people again.
Oh yeah,
Good man.
And,
Finally getting he's finally getting some KOs under his belt, which is really good.
That's what Teddy Atlas said. He said you got to start. You know, you can't chuck him back into a title shot. Start him low. He said maybe not DJ low. You know, maybe like professional fighter in the organization low. But like, the thought was that.
I think it's nice to see that. Obviously, he's got a lot better since his injury. He's back.
Better, yeah, of course.
Finally KO'd the guy, so that's finished first round. I'm really looking forward to his next fight.
man, I think his next fight's going to be in the courtroom. I don't think this guy's going to be paid off as cheaply as usual. This guy's actually got a bit of fucking money. So, yeah. I'm fucking glad he's got this problem hanging over his head now. Fuck that guy.
If that ends up becoming a court case, I really hope that the television coverage covers it, at least in the build-up before the court starts, like it's a UFC fight. So play, obviously not in the courtroom, but if like the news channel, they put like the entrance music on for Conor when he walks out, and then when the prosecution team walks out, they get like, you know, I fought the law and the law won. And then have the tail of the tape and stuff like that, highlights. Conor started off with a great early jab, moving around the drinking accusations well. Then they came in with the videotape body blow.
I don't know. I just like the idea of Ariel Helwani crying after he gets kicked out of court for spoiling the upcoming legal proceedings, trying to announce the next trial and whatnot. Fucking prick.
Oh man, have you guys seen that his war with Brendan Sharp has got to like a whole new level?
It's two people I don't care very much about. You know, it's somewhat peripheral. I'm aware that they especially don't like each other right now, but I'm willfully ignorant of the minutiae.
Understandable. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in the news. Luke Rockhold got injured. That sucks. He's out of the Sean Strickland fight. Doesn't look like they're booking a short notice replacement. It's probably going to get pushed back till January. But imagine how Strickland is managing that information.
Well, I saw, wasn't it Bilal Muhammad asked to fill in as a replacement? Who was it? Someone got into it with Strickland when they asked to be the replacement.
I think it was Bilal Muhammad. He went on Bisping's show and shat over Luke Rockhold and Bilal Muhammad. In fact, he had one of the best lines I've ever seen. Really funny line in response, where he said, "The thing is, like, I'm an insecure guy, man. Like, and I look at a guy like Luke Rockhold. I'm like, I have never loved anything in my life as much as you love yourself." He said he's probably the kind of guy that when he's fucking has a mirror in place so that he could just look at himself at all times. But yeah, apart from that, I can't see any other big news that I wanted to talk about. Is there any news stories that you guys have seen pop up, or should we call it a day?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right.
Very nice. In that case, everybody.
No, sorry. Yeah. Sorry about this. One last thing. It's completely not MMA related, but you know, fuck it. I've got a podcast, and he'll never hear it, but I want to wish him well. David Brooks was diagnosed with cancer with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I think they've caught it early enough that he should be okay. So you know, obviously, I'm really gutted to have him missing games, but way more important is just hoping that he's going to be okay. Not even really thinking about trying to rush him back or anything. But Bournemouth doing him proud. You know, won again last week, and yeah, just wanted to give my love out to Brooksy and his family, and I hope he comes through this okay.
Well said, mate. And obviously, we pass on our wishes to David Brooks' family as well. For everyone else, have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights by Dave, by Laurie, by Trifo, and
Laurie, bye, Dave.
Dave Brooks.